Good morning, everyone. We're going to give it one more minute and then we'll get things started. Thank you. All right, everyone, we have got a packed agenda today, so I'm going to go ahead and get things started. We'll have folks joining us throughout the call, but out of respect for everyone's time, we're going to get things started today. So first, I just want to thank you all for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedules. It's really great to see so many faces here. Some of you I recognize, others are new. So we're just really glad to have you here today to talk more about Groundwork Ohio's Family Action Network and to learn about how you and your organization can help support some of the exciting work that we have ahead this year and beyond. So before we get started, I see some folks are already doing this in the chat box, but if you don't mind just sharing where you're joining us from so we can all get a better sense of what communities you're representing today on the call, please do so in the chat now. And, as I shared before, we have a lot of information to get through today. So, please stick with us, but, this information will be shared with you at the end of this webinar. So don't feel that you need to rush and take notes. So first, to get things started, we're going to do a quick round of introductions of the Groundwork Ohio team. To get started, my name is Chelsea Keeney. I'm the Director of Communications and Stakeholder Engagement at Groundwork Ohio. I will turn things over to Lynanne to introduce herself and we'll go from there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lynanne Gutierrez. I'm the Chief Operating and Policy Officer here at Groundwork.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey Hopkins, and I am the PN3 Manager at Groundwork.
And also joining us today is Melissa Bacon, our Policy and Advocacy Director. And Melissa is in the chat section, so she'll be sharing different resources and links with you throughout this presentation. And she's also available to help troubleshoot any issues you might be experiencing. So look out for Melissa in the chat. So while this isn't the full Groundwork team that you're seeing here, this is really the core team that's going to be working on this Family Action Network and Strolling Thunder, Ohio activity that we are about to share with you today. So before we jump into our presentation, I just want to share a few different housekeeping items. First, this webinar is being recorded. As I shared before, our intention is to share the recording with you after we wrap things up today, so that way you can refer back to these resources as you need them. We also ask that you please keep yourself on mute and only come off mute to ask questions. We will have time at the end of this presentation to take questions from everyone. And to ask a question, we ask that you please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. You'll see that there's an image on the slide that shows the reactions button. When you click that reactions button, there's the option to raise your hand. When we're prepared to take your question, I'll turn things over to you. And at that point, you can come off mute and ask your question. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to ask their questions today. If you're unfamiliar with how to use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, that's okay. You can also use the chat box. We'll be monitoring that. And in those instances, I will just take those questions and address them to the group, or we'll respond to them directly in the chat. If you are joining us by phone and you want to use the raise your hand feature, you can do so by dialing *9. So that's *9 to raise your hand. All right, so before I turn things over to Lynanne to really set the stage of this conversation we're going to have today, I want to quickly go over the agenda that we have for the presentation. First, we are going to start with a quick overview of our Center for Family Voice at Groundwork Ohio and how we came to develop the Family Action Network. From there, we're going to share some exciting plans around the launch of our Family Action Network, including a morning of action and a rally that we're planning at the Ohio State House this spring. And then we're going to discuss Groundwork Ohio's commitment to the Family Action Network, including our plans to invest in the leadership of the families who participate. We'll then spend some time providing you with the information you need to learn more about how your organization can partner with us and help us build the Family Action Network. And finally, as I mentioned, we will have time at the end of our presentation to take some questions. And I'm going to do our best. Obviously we have a very packed agenda today, so I'm going to do our best to keep us on time so that we can get through everything. So with that, I am going to pass things over to Lynn.
Thanks, Kelsey. Well, it's really my pleasure today to remind us from the Groundwork team to all of you, some old, some new faces, kind of how we got to have the opportunity to invite you today and share this work with you. I'm going to go back before July of last year first to when I joined the organization under the leadership of Shannon Jones back in 2017. From 2017 to 2020, our organization spent the better part of those years really on a committed journey to figure out what equity means for young kids in Ohio. We began with data, we sought feedback from community, and really the unforgettable learning was just the absolute void of parents who were authentically being engaged to inform or influence policy decisions that so deeply impact their lives and the lives of their children. And we really had a unique opportunity last year to dig deep in the first 6 months to understand what could be our unique value in addressing this critical missing piece to the child advocacy infrastructure in our state. We did a national and state scan, and in July 2021, we released a really robust report detailing our research and also making a number of commitment of the activities we would engage in through the Center for Family Voice at Groundwork Ohio. So the center is really one key way, one key vehicle that we're driving to operationalize equity in our organization. And we'd like to share this short video with you again that summarizes the vision for the center.
We're excited to create the Center for Family Voice at Groundwork Ohio, an initiative designed to ensure that families' experiences and their ideas inform how governments and communities support young children. We're dedicated to creating a center of excellence that authentically involves Ohio families in transforming policies to ensure more children are born healthy, meet important developmental milestones, and get the early learning and interventions they need. The goal is to be better at building the foundation that sets up children for success. We are passionately committed to equity, eliminating the entrenched disparities in systems that serve pregnant women, young children, and families. The Center will be an authoritative resource for policymakers in Ohio and across the country who are committed to listening to families. We will empower families by increasing their advocacy skills, expanding their connections, and building their confidence. We will inspire stakeholders by demonstrating the impact of giving families the chance to co-create solutions, honoring family contributions, building inclusive cultures. And we will develop partnerships that value families' experiences. Finally, we will use these strategies to transform policy to improve outcomes for families and their young children. The Center for Family Voice. It's a place where families have a real say about how we support them.
Well, thank you for watching that with us. And of course, that's on our website if some of you had trouble hearing from the video here today. But this here is an image from the report we released last year, where we made a number of promises about what we would do. So this work has never been in the hypothetical. We wanted to make commitments around what Groundwork was going to act on beginning this year. And we're already certainly well underway in the planning for many of the things you'll hear about today. I am just I'm pleased to have our team talk to you about our plan to deliver on the promise to support and develop a family action network. And as I share these kind of core capacities, the activities that we put forth that Groundwork will deliver on, I just want to reiterate and remind folks that we're going to talk a lot about the what today, what we're doing, what we're asking you to do, but please know that far more important to us in our shared work is the how we engage families. We've been dedicated to these principles in the planning and been as thoughtful as possible to do this. Our principles that we laid out for this work are operationalizing equity, building trust, honoring relationships, respecting parents as experts, and ultimately shifting culture. So we hope that you see us invoking best practices in this work, but this is not just a one and done. This is something we're building over time. I just want to invite you, as you view our presentation and really moving forward in our partnership, to provide us feedback on how we can do better and where we can improve, because we'll be doing this work for years to come. So I'll hand it over to Kelsey now to dig into the Family Action Network and what it's going to look like here in 2022. Thanks.
Good morning again, everyone. I'm excited to share with you more about the Family Action Network. We all know that families deserve to be valued, respected, and heard. And the Family Action Network is specifically designed as a powerful and diverse coalition made up of families from across the state with children under the age of 5 years old. Families come in all shapes and sizes, so this includes parents, grandparents, foster parents, and anyone else who is a caregiver to young children. We want families to have the support that they need, so we're investing in their leadership as well as providing opportunities to engage with policymakers. Families within the Family Action Network are known as family ambassadors, and as I said, the network is made up of families from across Ohio, and to achieve that, we're looking to have 99 family ambassadors join us for the launch of the Family Action Network. On Wednesday, May 18th, we will be launching the Family Action Network. As part of the launch, we're hosting Strolling Thunder, Ohio at the State House. The concept of Strolling Thunder is reflective of the National Strolling Thunder hosted by 0 to 3, where families are invited to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. to share their stories and participate in a day of action. Our morning of action will consist of family ambassadors coming together at the Ohio State House to meet with their legislators and inform them about the needs and experiences of families with young children in their community. Following the morning of action, there will be a public rally on the State House lawn. And the most important thing to remember is that this is a family-friendly event, and it's all about elevating the voices and experiences of families with young children. So let's take a moment and transport ourselves to May 18th and put ourselves in the shoes of our family ambassadors who will arrive at the State House at 9 a.m. It's loud, there's laughter and baby giggles, breakfast is served, and there's bound to be a tear or two because someone is ready to have their diaper changed. But it's all good because there's a diaper changing station around the corner just for that. There are also activities on the table for everyone else as they wait for the program to get started. As the morning continues, the atrium continues to buzz as our speakers welcome our family ambassadors and officially launch the Family Action Network. As the speakers leave the stage, state legislators enter the atrium and locate the table of the family ambassadors from their district and join them for family ambassadors to share their stories and experiences. Remember, the morning of action is invite only, so everything that just happened is exclusively designed around family ambassadors. As the legislators leave the atrium, families begin to gather their belongings and, most importantly, their strollers as we prepare to exit the State House atrium and stroll out of the building and onto the State House lawn for lunch and the rally. At the rally, we're joined by other families who are excited about all of the family-friendly activities and high-profile guest speakers we are inviting to join us to celebrate what it means to be a family with young children in Ohio. And with that, the event concludes. And before families can get out of the parking lot, their children are asleep from having such an exciting and fun day.
Thanks, Kelsey, for setting the stage for us. As a parent of young children, mine would definitely not be asleep yet, but thanks for really setting the stage. It is not cliche to say I really get goosebumps when we start talking about the day and about the launch of the Family Action Network. And so thanks for indulging us as we, imagine the faces, the families, the noise, and really the energy, and really then placing policymakers in the middle of all that to listen to real families in real time. I do just want to say, what Kelsey has shared and what I hope you all are getting excited about as you're sitting here today is that this is going to be a big moment. There are lots of really important minutes and investments in families that are going into this moment before May 18th, and there will be many that continue to go after May 18th. So please, we're asking you to join us in all of this important work. So we're going to put in the minutes, we're going to celebrate this big moment, but we are building a movement. And so that is really the buzz and the excitement you feel from our team is the movement we're building. For those of you who have joined us before for this type of programming, I want to be really clear. This is not a lobby advocacy day. This is a family storytelling day. So if you have any reservation about your role and your current professional role in participating, we are not asking, and we would not ever ask families or tell families to make a specific ask of legislators. Certainly, if in the course of the conversation, families are identifying making asks of their policymakers, they are welcome to do so, but we're trying to create a really unique opportunity for them to share their story and for those policymakers to merely listen and really continue to understand what an asset families are and what families need to be in terms of being a part of policymaking decisions. So, no lobbying, non-advocacy day. This is a family storytelling day. And then I'll reiterate that this is a family-friendly and, you heard it right, a kid-friendly event, which poses a whole lot of really exciting challenges for us, and we want you to join us in overcoming those. A buzz in the State House includes certainly diaper changing stations, nursing areas, quiet nursing and private nursing areas for mom, quiet spaces for kids with sensory needs, stroller parking. I'm just giving you some of these tangible things to let you know that the second a family gets engaged with us, we are really committed to holding their hand from beginning to end through this process and through their involvement in the network. So thanks so much for allowing me to kind of reiterate some of those priorities for the event. I'll hand it over to Chelsea to talk about how we're building this thing.
Yes, thank you, Lynanne. So, now that we've kind of given you a little bit of the background of how we came to this place and what our plans are in terms of the building and the launch of the Family Action Network, really just want to spend some time sharing our plans to make this happen and to pull this all together. So as Kelsey shared with you, we have an ambitious plan to recruit 99 family ambassadors to take part in this very first cohort of a Family Action Network. And I know some of you might be thinking, well, why 99? 100 is like such a nice round number. But we selected 99 because there are 99 house districts, state house districts throughout Ohio. And so when we were thinking about how big we wanted to make this first class, we thought it was really important to identify at least one family for every member in the Ohio legislature. So that way, when we invite the legislators to take part in this event, they will have at least one family from their community who is there to share their story and their experiences with them. And so in addition, as Lynanne said, we're really committed to making sure that this is a successful and a good experience for families, that they feel empowered, that they feel that they are being heard, and that their stories are valued and their expertise is respected. And so, we're really invested in the leadership of families, which means, we're here to provide them with ongoing opportunities as family ambassadors to engage with their legislators, but also with each other to really, build those connections among other parents who are engaged in this action network. We understand that inviting families to come and speak to policymakers can be a very intimidating process for a lot of folks. This might be their first time that they've ever engaged with their elected officials on this level. And so we want to help them be comfortable throughout this process, which is why we will be hosting a series of virtual trainings for family ambassadors. And we're doing this in partnership with Design Impact. If you're not familiar, Design Impact, they are a nonprofit social innovation firm that's based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And their work is really rooted in the belief that in order to build sustainable social change, it all lies in the intersection of creativity, equity, and leadership. So we're really excited to be working with them on this project. We think that the design impact team alongside our team is really uniquely positioned to help build the capacity of families to participate as family ambassadors. And again, to just make sure that they're comfortable with this process and feel empowered to share their stories. So as part of our family ambassadors commitment, we are asking that each family ambassador attends 3 90-minute virtual training sessions that will take place in April and May. And each of these training sessions will be offered at several different dates and times, so that way we can accommodate, families' varying schedules, but also help make sure that these training sessions, the groups that are participating are a little bit smaller. So that way we're really building that sense of community. So that way, it's hard sometimes in a virtual space to build that community, but that way when families do arrive at the State House on May 18th, they'll start to see faces that they recognize and these connections that they've built over time through these training sessions. So we will, I know that there's a lot of information here, so you don't need to write this all down, but I did just want to share, this is our training session schedule that we have planned. We did establish these dates in advance because we wanted to be very transparent with both our partners and the families who are, committing to this process, so that way they know, what the expectation is that we're asking as part of becoming a family ambassador with our Family Action Network. So in the follow-up materials that we'll be sharing with you later today, you will have access to these training dates. So you can keep these on the back of your mind as well. So as we've mentioned throughout, I just really think it's an important point to drive home. Our organization is very committed to making sure that our family ambassadors have the tools and resources that they need to be successful, both as participants in the Family Action Network, but also throughout the Strolling Thunder Ohio Day, Morning of Action and Rally. So in addition to these virtual training sessions that I mentioned, we will also be pairing all of our family ambassadors with what we're calling a community ambassador. And so our community ambassadors will be individuals who provide families support before, during, and after the Strolling Thunder event. And we're going to be very intentional of how we pair these to make sure that these are people that are from their community. So that way, they see, potentially these are people that they already know, and they're connections that, they can grow and develop over time. We're going to get more into what these different roles are in a few slides. So, just stay tuned for that. But another form of support that we think is really important in this process is making sure that the family ambassadors receive competitive stipends for their participation, both in the training sessions that we will be offering, as well as the Strolling Thunder event. We understand that this is a big time commitment for families, especially, families are very busy now more than ever. So we want to make sure that we're compensating families for their time, their energy, and importantly, the expertise that they're bringing to this conversation. And finally, the Family Action Network, as Lynn-Ann mentioned, this is more than just a single day event. We are building a really powerful statewide coalition that we hope will grow and evolve over time. And so, that's why Groundwork Ohio is committed to continuing to engage and build this Family Action Network long past the Strolling Thunder event in May. And all this means is that, if you're thinking about families who are interested in being a part of the Family Action Network, but aren't able to participate in our day of action in May, that's okay. There will be opportunities down the line for those folks to join the Family Action Network, to be part of the programming, to take part in the leadership building opportunities, as well as the opportunities to engage with their policymakers and other members of the network.
Thanks, Chelsea. So this isn't the first time I've ever asked this, but here's our ask. If you're with us, join us. So we need your help, period. We need your help. We need your help to build this powerful statewide Family Action Network and to host a successful Strolling Thunder Ohio event launch. And if you take away one thing from me when you're thinking about how you're going to plug in, just please know that if you're on this call, there is a role for you. There is a role for all of our stakeholders to contribute and be a part of this, and we need all of you to be a part of this. We have created what we think is a thoughtful framework for engagement. and have really looked at 3 ways that you all can contribute as organizational or professional partners. You can contribute by recruiting, by supporting, and by promoting. So here's just, don't worry, you're going to get this, it's in your materials, but here is really a map for you to, again, map out and identify where you can plug in on this continuum of support and engagement by recruiting, supporting, and promoting the Family Action Network. I just want to be very clear, if you're wondering where to start, we're starting with number 1, and that's our priority, to recruit families. We have to be really thoughtful and recruit families here in the first part of this year, and it's so that we can set them up for success and invest in them in our programming moving forward. Certainly, there are opportunities if you are recruiting families to also recruit community ambassadors, so folks that are in your organization that can support families. There's opportunities for event volunteer recruitment. We're looking for folks to support both financially and in kind the Family Action Network, and then promote. So on this continuum, there's a place for you based upon both your time, resources, and interest in this work.
As we've said, none of this is possible without you. We need partners and organizations who can help us identify and nominate family ambassadors, community ambassadors, and event volunteers. Once again, the family ambassadors are those special 99 families who participate in the Strolling Thunder Ohio Morning of Action. As Chelsea mentioned, they also participate in virtual trainings in preparation for the Morning of Action, the afternoon rally, and they continue to be engaged with the network after May 18th. A community ambassador is an individual from a nominating organization like some of yours who participate alongside one or more family ambassador during the virtual training, the Strolling Thunder Ohio Morning of Action, and the rally. And then finally, the event volunteers are all other volunteers who are able to provide support throughout the event. Some of their tasks include directing people throughout the State House, making sure everyone has what they need, and making sure everyone makes it from the atrium to the rally.
All right, so I'm back to talk about how you can support. We're looking and asking and inviting organizations to commit financial resources to any or all of the following. We are looking for resources to support the training and development of family ambassadors. Kelsey mentioned this is an extensive, very thoughtful, iterative research-based training that we're doing with families, which sounds really fancy, but the real important part is Design Impact has on-the-ground experience so that we maximize and create a real unique experience that families really enjoy and find rewarding. We want to remove barriers to these family ambassadors participating in the Family Action Network and Strolling Thunder Ohio event. You heard about the stipends. Certainly above and beyond the stipends, there's going to be other unique barriers to each of the families, and we're looking for folks who are committed to putting funds forward to overcome these barriers, whether it's technology, transportation, childcare, otherwise. We need certainly resources to support the Strolling Thunder Ohio Morning of Action and Rally, so the event itself. And I just want to say, you know, in my leadership role at the organization, I just want to assure you as we make these asks, just know there is such a significant investment of resources and time that is required to do this very well and to do right by our families. And so please know this is going to be among or probably our top investment. So we invite you to just join us in this unique opportunity we have to match these resources to the real work that so many of us are working towards over our field. We're also inviting organizations to invite resources. So some of the things that folks have already committed to here is allowing employees some time off to participate in the Strolling Thunder Ohio rally, so that there's a big, massive showing to our state policymakers about those who care about young children on the State House lawn. There's others who have already thought about coordinating and financially supporting participating families and individuals. So for example, one of our partners said, I have a bus And I'm bringing it up from Cincinnati with our families and with other families and stakeholders for the rally. And certainly there's a whole host when we get excited about kids and families at a State House event of unique in-kind resources that your organizations could provide for the family ambassadors on the day of the event. So we hope you see yourself there. On the next slide, just as a reflection of the financial need and fundraising around not just this first 6 months of work, but the ongoing work of the Family Action Network. These are a series of sponsorship levels for your organization to consider. Again, no amount too low. We hope anyone can see themselves in this work. And we're happy to discuss with you further the details about the increasing brand recognition you'll see at each sponsorship level throughout the work. We think and we hope, we believe and we're motivated by supporting families and hope you will be too. And we also know this is just a unique opportunity for all of us in the child advocacy world to be at the ground floor of what we really think is such a critical missing piece to our shared work in Ohio, and hope that it's a model for you and your local communities and even beyond our state. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynanne. So in addition to the fantastic engagement opportunities that Kelsey and Lynanne have shared with us so far, we also invite organizations and individuals to support our efforts by just helping us get the word out. This is a big endeavor, and we really want to, make sure that this Family Action Network that we're pulling together and this incredible launch event at the Ohio State House is seen not just in Columbus and by, our participating families and organizations, but really communities throughout the state. So by signing on as a partner who is willing to help us with promotion, this can include anything from sharing information about how to participate in the rally on social media, inviting folks that are in your networks, whether it's through e-newsletters or other communications, to take part in the Strolling Thunder Ohio rally. It could look like, sharing your organization's involvement among your stakeholders and others in your community, really just, making this a really big splash that communities throughout the state of Ohio are aware of that is happening. And so, I do want to add that, by coming on at this level, our organization is ready to give you toolkits, hand you resources, things that, make this as easy as possible for you. So that way, you can really help amplify and share our efforts with a really wide audience.
So now that you've heard all of this, I know you can't wait to hear what you need to do to help build the Family Action Network and host a successful Strolling Thunder Ohio event. It's simple. Complete the partner interest form. Some of you received the form prior to this webinar and have already begun completing it. Everyone will be receiving it in an email following the webinar. Please complete the partner interest form as soon as possible, but no later than February 1st. And if you can't find the email, you can visit groundworkohio.org/family-action-partner and find the form there as well. Once the form is complete, someone from our team will reach out to you with next steps. We want you to have everything you need to be successful, and we will be sure to provide you with all of the necessary materials based on the role you decide to play. The next slide is a quick screenshot of what you will see when you when you start the partner interest form. And when you're done with it, make sure you hit submit so that we can have your response. So some important dates to remember. The first important date to remember is February 1st, and this is the deadline to submit your partner interest form. The forms will be accepted on a rolling basis, and we will be sending out materials on a rolling basis as well. The next deadline is February 14th, and this is the deadline to nominate family and community ambassadors. We will work with you to make sure that all of the needed information is completed by the deadline, but we need to make sure that we have time to communicate all of the important information to families. So February 1st and February 14th are two important deadlines. March 1st, the family ambassadors we will begin selecting family ambassadors, and then throughout April and May, the virtual trainings will begin for family and community ambassadors. And then, of course, the day we will all be anticipating, May 18th, at the State House for Strolling Thunder Morning of Action and Rally. You can learn more Once again, the materials we've shared with you today will be sent to you via email following this webinar, and you can access the materials and learn more on our website at groundworkohio.org/family-action. And you'll be able to access the partner interest form, family ambassador nomination form, this recorded webinar, today's slides, as well as any additional information you might need on the website.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. So I also just want to drive the point home that if there is one thing that we want everybody on this call to leave with today, it is to please, if you are interested in joining this effort, fill out that partner interest form as soon as possible, and no later than the February 1st deadline, because we are really excited and ready to get this effort underway, and it's going to take a lot of work from our team and our partners, and we are just really excited to be starting this endeavor with you all. So again, we will be sending you that link to the partner interest form, as well as other materials that you need in case you have any questions. But speaking of questions, we do want to offer some time for folks. I know that we covered a lot of information today. So with that, if folks would like to ask questions, whether it's about the Family Action Network, the Strolling Thunder event, or just other questions on how your organization or you as an individual can get involved in this effort, please go ahead and use the raise your hand feature, and I will call on folks to ask their questions. Coretta, I see you have a question. Would you like to go off mute?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Coretta Daniel. I'm an early learning navigator in the Cleveland Central Promise neighborhood with Starting Point, and a part of cohort 3 for the Early Learning Leadership Fellowship. So nice to meet some of you virtually, and I look forward to working with you throughout this year. Very excited about the Family Action Network, actually. And so I wanted to ask, just thinking in my community and like what we are already like processing through as we begin to engage families in policy. One is the learning curve for a lot of our families. And so I know about the 3 training sessions, but it's like, how do you get families to even begin to know why this is important? How do you get them to say, hey, I would like to participate? What is the language that we as, recruiters can effectively communicate to them? Because here I am, 8 years as a licensed social worker, and I'm just finding the importance, because I grew up in urban neighborhoods, being an African-American woman, I am just finding the importance of macro engagement with policy and all of that to advocate for some of the things that we like to see at the ground level. And so I know that is a huge learning curve for our communities. So that is my first question. I do have another question, but I want to pause and allow you to answer that one.
Yeah, so I'm very glad you asked that question. And I think Lisa was getting to a similar question in the chat. So, in terms of, as partners going out to families and talking to them and really trying to sell what it is that the Family Action Network is and is doing, we do have prepared resources for you. So by completing that partner interest form and indicating that you are interested in recruiting families, we will then follow up with you with those materials. And so that includes a 1-page FAQ that is really just gives the basic information for families so that they know what the Family Action Network is and what it's about, and why it's important, and sort of the value to families themselves. So with that, we will be providing you that information once you indicate your interest in recruiting families. Lynn-Ann, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just add, and because it was, so well said, and I look forward to working with you here in the fellowship this weekend. But we have asked all of those questions too, and we continue to learn more deeply, and our staff continues to learn more deeply about the power of advocacy and the strategies we use and the way we engage folks. And so I think that we're asking all the right questions, and it makes me feel really good that we're asking them together. When you may consider families to recruit, it is true that in this first cohort, we're not, we're talking about touching what I view as a large number of families, right? 99 families. But we're not going to reach everyone, and we want to create an environment that, regardless of their knowledge, that there is an opportunity for learning and development, that you may want to identify families who you do have some relationship with, or they've had some experience at the local level in your work, in your programs, so that you're able to be a bridge for them to participate in this statewide work. So we hope to go more deeply with families as this network broadens, and we have other opportunities through the center, like a similar family fellowship that we're developing, not unlike the professional leadership fellowship that you are in, so that we can spend more time with families in different ways through different platforms and opportunities. But we really appreciate your questions and the work that we're doing together.
Okay, thank you so much. And then my last question that could probably be answered pretty quickly. Are you guys, is it, you know, I always think about sometimes when families are represented in any spaces, sometimes the fathers get overlooked. And so how are, you know, I just wanted to know what thoughts you've put into that as well. And what can we do in our recruiting process to ensure that there's representation of fathers?
Sure, thanks again, Coretta. And this is something we had called out in our report, in our research last year, which is, hey, don't forget about dads. So we're really looking at all parents. I believe, well, I know that we've reached out and included the Fatherhood Commission in our communications. And so we've also made other connections with their locally funded programs on the ground. But please, we are open and want to have a diverse array of parents and caregivers, grandparents, kinship caregivers. So please help us do that. But no doubt, we will have many moms, given the dynamic of young children and the needs in our state for these families.
Thank you. I see our next question. Jessica Parker, would you like to go off mute?
I think actually mine just got answered in the chat. So you want the families to have at least one child under 5? Would that be the?
Yes. So with our focus, it's really on infants and toddlers and preschool age children. So really families that are caring for someone 0 to 5, they might have older children, and that's completely fine too. But we do want that connection to young children.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Let's see. Joan, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, it's very quick. I just know, having been a mother of a small child myself, things pop up. So wondered if you might be recruiting 99 times 2, which would be 198 families, just so like some to be maybe backup families just in case, or 297 is 99 times 3. But just knowing how family life is so challenging, and that's why you're doing this, if you'd thought of that.
Yeah, I can start.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry, I was going to say, this is something that in our planning process, we have been very thoughtful to think about, thinking about what are some of the barriers to participation for families, and making sure that we do all that we can on the front end to be prepared for that and to address those and to offer our support for those families, whether it's, they find out or they're having troubles with like technological issues, to join the virtual trainings of making sure, what is our role, and how can we work with partners to make sure that families are overcoming those barriers. I think certainly, I think flexibility is going to be a big part of this planning process. And so, while I would say we're really focused on that core 99, we do understand that there might be instances where a family might have to drop out, and in that instance, we will work to see if there is, someone that we would be able to get in their place. But, I think you're exactly right. This is, we're going to roll with the punches. Lynanne, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, just that because we're making a substantial investment in these families, there's certainly the absolute reality that there may not be 99 or 100 or 98, whatever the perfect number is on the day of the event. And there's certainly going to be, things that we have to overcome with training and scheduling. But I think we would push back on recruiting, right? You're kind of suggesting around recruiting double, in the sense that, and I know you certainly didn't mean it like this, but we're just really deeply investing in these families. And so if they don't make it to the day because life happens, that's okay. Like, they're still part of our action network. We're investing in them and their families and their stories and these opportunities. And so I wouldn't want to communicate to them that there's like a backup if they can't show up. These are the families we're investing in 2022. And we really want to be successful and create opportunities for them. So I'll just say that in regards to our investment and commitment to those families. The event will be okay either way.
Thank you, Linan. Before I take our next question, just a reminder, if I see some folks are bringing some questions to the chat box, which Melissa has been answering, but if you'd also like to ask a question to the group, you can use the raise hand feature in the Zoom by clicking the reactions button. So next question, I will turn it over to Will.
Thanks, Chelsea. And thank you, Groundwork Ohio, for this vision and leadership on just getting families involved and centered in the work. It's really exciting. I had two questions. The first is just like, how much is the stipend for families? And then the other question is, if we're all recruiting and there's a childcare provider that's recruiting all of their families or sending out a message, I could see a scenario where there's, more than one family in a house district that's interested. So just wanted to learn more about, if there are, say, 3 or 4 families in one house district that are really interested, how have you all thought through like decision making on like who gets to join and participate and who does not?
Linan, would you like to address the first question with the stipends?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So we have kind of in our research and talking to other local partners who've done this work, and specifically with Design Impact, we think that it's an appropriate to base our family stipends off a $30 an hour rate. So they won't receive they won't receive a rate. They will receive stipends for each of the 3 virtual trainings and for the day of. But that is kind of the number that we've come to in mind. So for a family participating in those 3 trainings and the full day of action, depending upon their travel time, we're looking at between $400 and $500 a family for this commitment, for the training commitment and the day of commitment.
And then Will, regarding your question about the potential to receive several nominations from a single house district, we do anticipate that there will be areas, especially the more largely populated areas, where that will happen. And so that is sort of the purpose of the nomination form. We'll work closely with partners in those instances to sort of identify families who will be part of this initial 99. But, as we mentioned, we're really interested in building this up to be a very broad coalition throughout the state. And so, those families who apply and aren't necessarily selected to be part of the Strolling Thunder Ohio launch event, they're certainly invited to take part in the rally. And we would invite them to join the Family Action Network for that continued programming after the May 18th event. All right, next question. It looks like, Shelley, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be a part of this network and looking forward to all the participations. I am in the Moraine area. And my question is, if we are recruiting families from districts, will transportation be provided, and are all the events going to take place in Columbus?
Linan, would you like to address the transportation issue?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll start with, there's only one event scheduled in Columbus, and that is the event on May 18th. The other family commitments are 3 virtual trainings. So families will receive stipends for those trainings and for the day of the event. So really the transportation issue becomes a barrier on May 18th for families traveling to and from the event. We are hopeful that the stipend helps support that, but understand that we need to work with the community ambassadors and other local community partners to coordinate family transportation, and that will be part of the logistics and training that's built into families getting to know one another through those 3 virtual trainings to try to eliminate those barriers. So where there are opportunities, especially in bigger areas or large, more populated areas, where there are some kind of group transportation opportunities, we're seeking those out and then working individually with families to coordinate and carpool. We think this is an important role that the community ambassador can help play. And I saw, Chelsea, I saw a chat that came up about, if you recruit a family, do you have to also send someone from your organization as a community ambassador? And the answer is no, but we are hopeful that many of you who would recruit or nominate families that you work with, that would send or nominate a community ambassador along their side so that they can navigate issues like transportation together.
Thank you, Lynn-Ann. So we don't have any other questions in the queue, but I do want to offer one more opportunity if folks do have questions or if other things came up as we've been answering questions, to either use the raise hand feature or the chat box. All right, well, with that, I do want to thank everyone again for joining us today and for all these excellent questions that you present. Oh, I do see we have another question from Joan. Let's see, for clarification, you want more families and participants at rally? Yes, and so that's a great question, Joan. So I know we've been talking a lot about this recruitment around our 99 family ambassadors, as well as the community ambassadors who would be supporting them. But for the rally outside of the State House that will take place the afternoon of the Strolling Thunder Ohio event, we are looking to make this as big as possible. And so in addition to the recruitment for those families, those ambassadors, as well as event volunteers, this kind of goes back to the promotion that we mentioned earlier as a form of an opportunity for your organizations to engage, is just promoting the rally to turn out as many people as possible. We want a really big showing. It doesn't have to be families. It can just be people who really care about our young children and making sure that our families are set up for success. So the bigger the better. And also a good question, Joan, related to pandemic issues. Obviously, this is constantly in our mind as we're planning this, of thinking through making sure that this is not only a successful event in terms of making sure families are prepared, but also that everybody is safe. So we are monitoring the pandemic and sort of what the situation is on the ground, and our organization is adhering to all of the local requirements as it relates to masks, things like that. So obviously we will be watching the situation closely and making sure that by bringing families in, especially with young ones who may not be eligible for vaccines at the time, that we are making sure that this is a safe environment for them and their families. All right.
Yeah, and
sorry, Lynn.
I would just add to that if we have to pivot and make adjustments to the day, certainly there's a plan B, C, D, E, F, you name it, we'll get there. But the priority is to I guess kind of protect the opportunity for the families themselves to have that opportunity. So to the extent that we have to make the event smaller or more intimate kind of gathering, we want to keep the integrity of the purpose of creating this opportunity for the family ambassador. So that would be our goal in mind as we would have to make adjustments along the way.
Thank you, Lynn-Ann. So again, thank you for joining us today. I know that we've shared a lot of information with you all. And as we mentioned, we will be sending a follow-up email later today that contains a recording of the webinar, as well as the slides and the resources that you all need to take the next step to become a partner with these efforts. If you do have any questions or have additional thoughts as you're going about your day, you can contact us at familyaction@groundworkohio.org. You'll see the email there on your screen. And you can visit our website, groundworkohio.org/familyaction for more information and for the resources that we shared with you all today. We're really excited to be launching this endeavor, and we really appreciate your time and your commitment to Ohio's families and making this Family Action Network and launch event such a success. So we look forward with partnering with you, and we hope you have a wonderful day.